Good morning, everybody. Snakezilla here, again, with an early morning game to wake me up, ready to attack the day. Yeah, probably not the most advised way of starting your day, opening up an online game, but I just find it helps my brain wake up. As long as I'm not sort of sat here all morning, then I can keep telling myself that this is not unhealthy. And it gives me a chance to riff about things, or something. But I've been loosely following the UK election, which I hasten to add, I did not vote in this election, despite my English accent. I in fact reside in Australia. Oi, god damn it. But I thought I may as well say congratulations to Keir Starmer for becoming Prime Minister, an absolutely unbelievable landslide victory for the Labour Party in the UK. Or, I think many people are saying that it might be to do with Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives completely dropping the ball. But that's what a public school education can do for you. If you want your son or daughter to become a politician who is completely out of touch with voters, send them to a public school. Perhaps I'm being a bit mean. But I did notice this morning that Reform UK had picked up another seat, which means that they now have 5 parliamentary seats. And although this is obviously quite extraordinary for a new party, once I started to look into this, I came to a conclusion. I was going to say the conclusion, but I could be completely wrong on this. Actually, it's not even a conclusion. This is an opinion. Let's call it an opinion. I came to the opinion that I believe Reform UK will win an election at some point in the future. Unpopular opinion, perhaps. But my reason for thinking this is extremely simple. And it's because of, and you don't have to look far into Reform UK to see this, it's because of a sense of community which is very quickly growing around Reform UK. And it doesn't, as I say, it doesn't take much searching around to be able to see how much fun this party is having. It is quite literally a party. And I know, they've got their haters, but I also think there is around that hate probably quite a bit of sort of motivated reasoning, which I was going to do another video actually on motivated reasoning and the scientific method, but let's just park that comment. Now, I do a lot of hiring into companies, and the biggest thing I have learnt is that a strong sense of community within organisations, whether they are small, whether it's just 2 people, or whether it's 2,000 people, always leads to greater success. People are more successful when they're together than when they are divided, and I suppose that's, you could argue that's why the Tory party essentially imploded. Again, I'm not an expert on British politics, I hasten to add, but just reading the sort of surface level stuff on the BBC and various news websites, I believe this is really what happened to the Tories. They really imploded because they were so divided. But anyway, the thing for me that makes Reform UK stand out head and shoulders above all of the other, well, at least the main political parties, is sense of community. There was a video that came up this morning, the 5th candidate that Reform UK secured into Parliament. I think it was Basildon, and I can't remember what it's called, Basildon and somewhere in Essex, and I apologise to anyone that lives in that part of the world that I don't know much about you. Obviously, I would not make a very good politician, but that candidate, there was a video circulating of Nigel Farage on the telephone to this candidate, and, love Farage or hate him, he is a very warm character from what I can see. He's got sort of old school values. He's almost a sort of child of the 1980s, I think, and that sort of proper sort of city boy, a lot of charisma, speaks his mind, and you got a sense of that when he was on the phone congratulating his candidate. There was some wit, some humour, some real sense of interest and congratulations to this guy. And yeah, I think with Reform UK, this sense of community that is clearly growing, and I know their haters are probably going to be in denial about this, but again, I'm just saying this as a sort of an observer on the sidelines, you might say. This always brings better employee satisfaction, engagement at companies, and I looked this up, and there was a Gallup poll which showed how companies with highly engaged workforces outperform their peers by 147% in earnings per share. So, that's you could almost correlate this with mathematics if you choose money as your unit. Remove the money side of things. There's your gauge. So engaged employees are more productive, provide better customer service, and have lower turnover rates. So what that means is that if that is true, Reform UK, once they have secured members, this sense of community will very likely mean they'll hang on to these members. They won't get many kind of, what do you call them, party defectors. Again, I'm making assumptions here, so there's a lot of assumptions in what I am saying, but I'm just saying it how I see it right now. This growing sense of community, that's really it's really the focus of what I'm talking about here. I also think in companies, well, I have seen this is true. Community definitely improves collaboration. I guess that's, in a sense, that's what community is, and innovation. So companies like Google and Apple, they've known this for a long time. It is the best way to scale. They emphasize a collaborative culture, and that has been highly successful in driving their innovation in technology. And one would expect that there is no reason why that wouldn't work in other disciplines, and certainly in politics. In fact, probably even more so in politics. People seem to be very wedded to ideas. It's a very sort of emotional topic for a lot of people. So the collaborative sense that people have in politics is arguably even more powerful than within a tech company. In a tech company, if you're for whatever reason not happy or engaged enough, you just go and work for someplace else. But anyway, sort of riffing here. But yeah, that higher retention rate, I think, is another sort of added benefit that I think Reform UK can capitalise on, probably more so than other parties. And I think we already saw, didn't we, that during the campaign, didn't the Tories lose a couple of their members to other parties? I think probably actually to Reform UK. So we see their poor retention in parties that do not clearly have this sense of community. And also, although from what I can gather, Reform UK still has a bit of a reputation issue. Still see these very sort of narrow-minded journalists bringing out the R word quite frequently, which I'm not saying whether or not that's valid, not valid. What's the word? Whether that's warranted or not. There's clearly, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's motivated reasoning or not, it does indicate that Reform UK clearly have a reputation problem. And one way to solve reputation problems is via that sense of community. So I think there's a critical mass, as they say, of community activity occurring within Reform UK and the communities out there in Britain where they can probably resolve this reputation issue that they've had for a long time. And again, this is sort of mathematical. When you have that many people following or joining a party, then the diversity of person that follows that party is like, you're not going to be able to call these people racist forever. Sort of loath to use that word. I think it's very, very much abused nowadays. So there we have it. That's my opinion. At a very, very high level, the videos I found on Reform UK, and I'm not talking sort of on the BBC. In fact, there's not really too much coverage on the BBC about Reform UK, and yeah, I suppose again the focus really is on Keir Starmer, the new government, and congratulating the Labour Party on their victory and supporting them to get on with a very tough job that they have. So it's entirely, it's reasonable to not really expect them to place much emphasis on Reform UK. But from what I've seen, I think there's just so much power behind community, and I'm talking generally here, not just the political realm, but just generally. Try building a company where you do not have any sense of community, and it will be 10 times more difficult than building a company where you have people who are engaged and feel that sense of community. I do remember reading, I'll have to find a source for this, but I remember reading somewhere once that sense of community was in fact the one thing that employees look for in a new employer, and that's above salary, by the way. So, if Reform UK can crack that sense of community, being listened to, it's not just Reform UK, to be honest, it's any political party. If you can foster a sense of community, you've cracked it, pretty much. And I think that's this is why Trump wins in America. He goes out, speaks to people. He wants to see the whites of their eyes, but you don't see that with the other parties over there. And I'm sure that probably applies more to UK politics as well, where you always see on the news these very kind of forced, staged appearances of a prime minister who is sort of standing in front of a line of factory workers and who are asking them very sort of pre-scripted and almost fake questions. And I think people are not silly; they can see right through that. But old Nigel Farage, he's whether you love him or hate him, he may be divisive to people who do not like him, but he's not divisive if you just take a step back and look at how he behaves or what he does and actually spend a lot of time listening to the way he treats other people. He's not divisive at all, I don't think. And what I'm saying there is the sense of community is 100 times better than the sense of community that any other party leader, as far as I can see, is bringing to the table. So there you have it. That's my riff of the day. Bit of a hot button topic, but perhaps I should leave that topic alone for now. I didn't really have an intention to make this channel about any topic in particular, but we seem to be going in the direction of more sciencey things. And now, we've sort of covered a bit of a political topic for today. So let me know what you think in the comments about the election in the UK and whether you think community is something that can increase people's interest in a party. Okay, I'll leave it there.